But on Vote Common Good, when we say this guy's got to go, our idea here is that Donald Trump has to go as president of the United States. And we ask every week, James, and we're going to drag you through this, but we say to the president, because we know he can't help listening to something that has his name in the title, please do the honorable thing and follow the path of Richard Nixon and say, so I resign the presidency as of noon tomorrow. And if you can't bring yourself to that, please do what Lyndon Johnson did and say, I will not seek the nomination of my party, and will not accept the nomination and will not be your next president. Or if you don't do it, then the good people of this country are going to do all that we can to make sure you're not the next president of the United States. So what we do, James, is we often say, every week we recite the things Donald Trump has done in the last 168 hours that have made it clear that he should not be the president. But instead of us just waxing eloquently about his misdeeds, we wanted to get your input on this. As I mentioned to you earlier, I follow you, Rob follows you, lots of people do. And you are quite bullish on the idea that Donald Trump will not win re-election. And so tell us why you see it that way. Why do you think not only this guy has got to go, but why this guy is going to go when it comes to Election Day, November 3rd?
To my knowledge, I'm the first person to publicly say there's a better chance that he doesn't run than he's reelected. I have a piece on a site of some Never Trumpers Republicans called The Bulwark.
Oh, yeah.
Read it, all right? It's exploded out there on social media. And what I really believe is if you understand politics, everybody thinks it's linear. So you think when you were a kid, you would recite the song, 82 bottles of beer on the wall, one of them happened to fall, 81 bottles of beer on the wall. It's like, no, it's 82 bottles of beer on the wall, 50 happened to fall, 32 bottles of beer on the wall. Right?
The faster, but I never made it through that song. I couldn't get all.
Yeah, I know. Well, I understand, but it's like I live in a culture of levees. The levee weakens, and all of a sudden it breaks. And his levee is getting ready to break, and people know that. And he's not going to lose. And you go to Real Clear Politics, you go to 538, and you say, well, gee, 2 weeks ago he was at 42.1 approval, and now he's at 40.8. No, he is going to have to assess the fact what is worse for him. To get the living crap beat out of him, which will happen, or to say, I've done everything I can do.
Yep.
George Aiken in Vietnam. The United States has never lost a war. We won this one. We're going home. Yep. And that's the only way he can save face, because he's going to get beat so bad, you cannot imagine it. And
I can. I try to every day. I try to imagine it.
Yeah.
I found something about it.
So James, Doug and I had this very conversation on our podcast last week where we talked about how it seems like in Donald Trump there is kind of two warring feelings. The one feeling that he really wants to have self-aggrandizement. He likes being president because of what that means for his brand and for, Trump International and all of that. But at the same time, he's got this, I think, existential dread about losing. And it's ultimately, he's got to figure out which one of those feelings is going to win out, because is he going to go for trying to keep the power, or is he going to protect himself from being losing badly, being labeled a loser? And so you really think that impulse not to be a loser is greater than his impulse to try to keep the power that he has?
I've said what I thought in the Bulwark piece. You can look at it. It's through humor. He will arrive at a decision that his brand is more viable walking away.
Yes.
The one thing he can't take is what he's going to get is a massive humiliation. He is going to go down, if he stays in this race, he will go down as the greatest failure in history, because the public will render a verdict on him, and they're going to render it. Do not worry. There's no magic there. Don't worry about any of that. And it is going to, between now and the next end of July or for next 6 weeks, it's evident. And what he is he's a survivalist. He's a shark. Anything it takes to survive, he does. And he's just going to say, I've done everything that I could possibly do. and I'm going to start Trump TV, and I'm going to beat the deep state and the fake
Yeah.
media.
And
All
then
right?
and then he will
The
say,
greatest. What else they left for me to do?
yeah, and then he'll say,
And
and
that's
by the way, you can always run for president again, and he'll stay in the public
oh,
psyche,
I pointed
threatening.
that out in my piece that in 2024, under the minor chance that sleepy Joe Biden is a president, the New York Times and Maggie Haberman will beg me to run for re-election because I've done more than 3.109 years than Abraham Lincoln and Franklin Roosevelt. It doesn't matter. Say whatever you want. Just get out of there.
That's great.
Yep.
Get out.
So yeah. So James, let me ask you another question about your premise, because I'm thinking about the polling that shows Biden up by 14%, and yet at the same time, 55% of voters think Trump is going to be reelected. And what I think that is most people, I think, hope that he doesn't get reelected, but they're saying, hey, I was so wrong in 2016. I don't want to be wrong again. And so they're saying, well, I think he's going to be reelected. Why are you so confident that he's going to lose so badly?
Well, all right, let's start.
Yeah.
All right, he got 46.1 in 2016. I thought that Hillary would get 3.7% of the popular vote. She got 2.1. Okay, I was off by whatever it is, 2 point whatever. Okay, big deal. He got 44.8 in 2018. He lost in Kentucky. He lost in Louisiana. He had the biggest loss in an off-year election since women were granted the right to vote, with the highest turnout. He has no political power. Of course, people are traumatized by 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't follow this like I do. And that's okay. Be scared if you want to. My thing is, get over it. You're going to win. But I can't do. People come to me before when I used to go to airports, and they said, James, I love the way you say what you think, but please don't say you think Trump's going to lose. Well, they're two contradictory thoughts. Either you want me to say what I think, or you want me to make something up. He's not just going to lose if he runs. He's going to get destroyed. I don't know, decimated, humiliated. And it's just as clear as a bell. The public is, you think about this. Doug, you're old enough to remember. This is 1980. In mid-October, people were thinking Carter still had a chance. You knew because you were living in the country that he didn't have a chance. Right? McCain was ahead in the polls in early September of 2008. You knew McCain wasn't going to win because you just lived in the country.
Yeah.
Right? We had people coming in the White House in 1994 in September said, oh, you're going to pick up 3 House seats and lose 3 House seats. They were full of crap. You knew we were going to lose. People are human beings. You don't need me. So Hillary got 48.1. Has anybody ever talked to a single human being that said, I voted for Hillary, but I've been so impressed with what I see. I'm going to switch.
Yeah, that's
So you just start at 48.1
yeah.
without doing anything.
Yep.
Right? So this is not, and just if people would just apply their common sense in what has happened so far, he's not just going to lose, he's going to lose badly.
And as people who travel the country trying to get Democrats elected, we hear all the time from Democrats, they're worried that he's different. They believe it. They never thought he could win in 2016. And then you might know this phrase that it's the economy, stupid. And I had someone say to me yesterday at lunch, yeah, but Doug, what about the economy? He's doing so well with the economy. This is a Trump supporter. Why is that not enough for me to want to vote for him? Now, the people who hear two different things from James Carville, which is the economy is not enough, how have you reconciled? And I don't even know if you ever said it's the economy.
First of all, let's go back to the whiteboard in War Room.
All right.
The economy stupid was the second thing. The first thing was change versus more of the same.
There you go.
And the third thing was don't forget health care. I might point out, I don't know how to tell people this, but the economy is not worth a shit right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
But he was going to lose in January.
Yeah.
People, this is a great myth. He was rolling along. He was going to win re-election, and then COVID came in and upset the whole deal. He was going to lose when it was 3.4% unemployment. when the Dow was scraping 30,000,
Yeah.
right? Because people wanted change, and people saw an economy that, yeah, that was all great. It wasn't benefiting me very much anyway.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
we love to repeat
Yeah.
myths, right? And I saw a guy in a coffee shop, and he said this. I saw, my wife went to the beauty shop, and somebody said that. Oh, bullshit! That's not evidence, right? That's just somebody.
Yeah.
By the way, the number one thing on that whiteboard in Joe Biden, single motto ought to be Joe Biden, because it's time for a change.
Right. Because I'm not
Change is the
Donald Trump.
greatest word. That's it. Make whatever you want to be changed. You just. But,
Hey, on a side note, why do you think the popular press and popular imagination latched on to the second statement on that whiteboard? It's the economy, stupid. What do you think that's been a Republican thing to try to switch the narrative? What made that?
It was a kind of, and the reason, and it's people have studied this and gone, how many things? It's the blank stupid, because it's counterintuitive. Like, you're not acting like you're smart. Like, it's to be basic.
It was the stupid line, not the economy line that got him. Yeah.
It's a stupid line. If it had just said it's the economy, it would have gone nowhere.
If it said it's healthcare, stupid, it would have been the healthcare.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just stupid that like, don't be, in my message to the campaign was, don't be too smart. I had all these Prince and Brown and all this shit, and like, don't be so smart. This is execution. This is basic. That was what behind what I said was. I think there's been 50,000 headlines with it, so whatever, stupid,
Yep.
And in some ways, what I hear you saying now is it's Trump, stupid. Like, the thing that people don't want is him. I feel like they've moved on. I was proposing to Rob last week that had the election in 2016 been held 7 days later on the 13th, the election would have turned out differently. If people had known that his election was a possibility, they would have acted. And I don't know if any other election in modern history would have changed a week later. I have no doubt that Donald Trump lost that election, or lost the 2020 election, on election day, November 16th. The country committed that night to not vote for him again.
You're absolutely right. And there were people all over the country saying, oh shit, I didn't think this was going to happen. I just didn't want it to win by too much. And that was a lot. I know all the press people, and they were telling me, I just don't want it to win by too much. They were trying to, like, handicap Secretariat. We'll give him 5 more pounds. Oh shit, I didn't think he was going to lose.
Right. It was Tanya Harding trying to hit Lisa King.
Yeah. So, but we are where we are. It doesn't matter, We're just in a Marine Corps, wishing one hand and crap in the other. See which one fills up the fast.
Hey, what's your advice for, other than get tough, Democrats? What's your advice for the Democrats and Democratic voters in this period of time who continue to just feel so scared and unnerved about Donald Trump, and about the possibility of America regaining some sense of a presidency that feels honorable?
Look, I can't. Democrats are all nervous to start with, and I can't believe this. I can't help you. You're going to win. If you want to be scared, be scared. For God's sakes, just vote and get everybody to vote. I don't care if you vote because you're scared or you vote because you're optimistic. Just goddamn vote. All right. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't sit down and, like, deal with your insecurities or deal with your fears. All I can tell you is, for whatever reason it is, not just you vote, go get 20 people that that may not vote and get them to vote too. Mm-hmm. That's all you can do.
I did hear you say I heard you say somewhere the other day, hey, Democrats, you're going to vote. You just got to get over it. Or you're going to win. You just have to get over it.
If you can't get over it and you vote out of fear, fine, just vote. I don't care. Yeah. I'm tired of being the national psychiatrist for, nervous Democrats. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. James, would you? I don't want you to, divulge anything that you might actually know, but I'm curious if you might have any advice for Joe Biden as he makes what could be a critical vice presidential pick. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is one of those elections. It really doesn't matter who he picks. He's going to win. I mean,
if he picks Sarah Palin, I'm for it. Okay. Joe Biden has the authority, the overwhelming authority granted to him by Democratic voters all over this country. He went out, he ran. People spent money, they ran TV ads, they had debates, and he won overwhelmingly. Mm-hmm. We have ceded this responsibility to him. I am certain that he will execute it in a responsible, reasonable way that takes politics into consideration. So I don't care. Whoever you for, I'm for it. Because you have been granted this right by Democratic and to some extent independent voters. And I hear these people on TV, he's got to do this, he's got to pick this, he's got to do that. He's got to do what he wants to do. And I think Joe Biden is not a perfect man. He's a long career in politics. But I think he's a guy that has the people around him. I know most of them. They've been with him for a long time. He's comfortable with them. I think he'll pick someone that he's comfortable with and that he's comfortable can do the job. And he's comfortable in helping politically. And I don't think he has to pick a certain, he said he'd pick a woman. That's fine. He was going to do it anyway. If you're already going to do something, just go ahead and say, I'm going to do it, because that was where we are in American politics. So, but I think we're overbeating the batter here. I wish he would make Warren the Attorney General, because I think that would tell people, hey, this has changed. We're not fooling around here. Right? Yeah. And I think it would be, I had problems with a campaign. I was critical of the campaign. I think she has the most stunning biography I've ever seen in American politics. And she's brilliant and focused, and I think she'd be a hell of an Attorney General. I wrote about that. But if he picks her for vice president, I'm fine. I don't care who he picks. I'm fine with it. That's not my big deal.
James, you know more about the ins and outs of campaigns and political impact on how people act and behave in this country than anyone that I listen to. Do you think, is the last 4 years going to be just an aberration to the norm, or do you think something has fundamentally broken now in our trust of one another and trust of the political process to give us a government that people can live comfortably with?
So, you're a person of faith, all right? I think that the result of Trump, the coronavirus, I think the aftermath of this, or people are going to want to be more communal. I really do. I think that this is like, had people, I don't want to live like this anymore. All right, I just don't, I don't want to. I know we have racism and sexism and structural inherent inequality in a country. I know all of that. I'm not saying it's going away, but I think the aftermath of this is going to be that people don't like this. They're uncomfortable with it. It's not, I know people, friends of mine, who Republican business people, and they're like, man, I just can't take this anymore. I got people on the job site like fighting with each other, and and they look at it. They're not, business people. I'm certainly not racist or anything like that, but they want a president to make this better. Okay, you're supposed to have a problem, you have a pandemic, or you have a horrific murder that brings to surface feelings that have existed in this country for hundreds of years. Yeah. And we're supposed to have a president that can have a conversation about it, can make us feel better about it. And it's going to be so big. and the country is going to change so much.
Hmm.
And I actually believe in a way that you and I will approve of. I think as opposed to being like the end of now, and I don't know the churches, these not all, but the way these high-end evangelicals are acting is just disgusting.
Yeah.
The way that Cardinal Dolan, and I'm a Catholic, on with 600 bishops talking about how he calls President Trump more than he calls his mother. It makes me, it's just disgusting. All right. This is not who we are or what we're about. I mean, the reason that I go to church is I want to be part of a community of something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I can't have that kind of vision that Franklin Graham or this priest in Indiana that sent out this. I'm not part of that club, dude, and I'm not ever going to be part of that club. And we got to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people are going to be more inclined to be part of it when this unpleasantness is behind us, and it will be. I think the reaction of people is we're going to be in more civic clubs. We're going to be more in interracial things, more
Mm-hmm.
try to be kind to people because we've seen what this has brought about. And most people, and I'm 75. I don't think I'm a Pollyanna. I think people are going to be so glad when this is over. I had a friend of mine, a very high-end journalist, wouldn't disclose the name of this person as a female, and just said, "Man, what are you doing?" And I just said, "Shit, I just want to go out and hug somebody."
Yeah, that's right.
She takes me back and she says, "I want to be hugged." I mean, it wasn't a sexual thing at all.
It's
All right, but it's just like everybody, like all of a sudden, if somehow or another Trump was right in somebody, this thing went away, and tomorrow there were no infections. Everybody would just go in a park and hug each other.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, shit, I missed this.
Yeah.
And we're missing that whole point.
Mm.
People are sick of this. And it's permeating. And there's a lot of the urbanists, and I don't call them, they're very condescending to people. And people don't like that. So they recall from it. They're condescending of a lot of religious people that have rural people, and they hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they recoil from this metropolitan arrogance that we've had, And I hope this makes us rethink all of that. I've just kind of really hope in my heart and my soul that through this horror, through this terrible time of distress, that we come out of this and we rethink who we are and what we're about. And I really think there's some chance of that. I really do.
Yeah.
I got to believe that because it's all you can believe. But I think I'm right.
Yep. I think so too, and really well said. One of the things that you talked about as you were chatting there is it reminded me of something that Doug and I have talked about a lot, is how President Trump is so ineffective at being the comforter in chief. And I think a lot of that kind of pent up frustration that eventually is going to be released in, mass hugs in parks when we're all free to do that is because he has done such a poor job of alleviating the anxiety along the way. And what he's done in case after case after case is he's ratcheted it up. You said, we need a president who's going to make things better. What we have is a president who makes things worse. And I mean, to kind of transition to one of the latest examples, I am just utterly blown away. The president of the United States would tweet a video that includes a supporter yelling the words "white power," and then would go golfing and not be able to be reached for 3 hours before the before his staff could convince him to delete that video. It is utterly
Everything's impossible.
baffling.
No one else has access to his Twitter account, or is it like no one can take down a Donald Trump tweet except Donald Trump? It's so broken.
Saying that he is ineffective at bringing people together is like saying I'm ineffective at calculus. I don't even know what it is. Right? Ineffective does not describe that. If he was ineffective, he would be kind of clumsy and trying.
Yeah.
He believes that his route to stay in power is to accentuate the division. So he's not ineffective, and I mean to be critical here.
No, be critical.
Does not remotely describe what it is. Right? He thinks in the back of his mind that division and racism and stoking the fire is what's going to get him back, going to keep him in power. He is so fundamentally wrong. So wrong. And I think in July, between now and the middle of August, I think his survival instincts are going to take over. He's going to drop back and punt.
So
that's what he'll do.
You know this world, but what's if that happens? And I've been convinced of that this is a real possibility, whether or not he does it. But what's literally the mechanism that has to happen? Does that have to happen before the convention? Like, is the convention some kind of a...
Look, there's a mechanism in place. All right, there's a mechanism if the nominee drops dead on September 15th. Okay? The problem is the nation has an infected wisdom tooth. Get the wisdom tooth out, then figure out what to do after that.
I see.
All right? There's a mechanism, and he could declare, they could have there's rules. I mean, even the Republican Party is not so stupid that they don't have a way to deal with this. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to go to trouble to find out. But if he says, I'm not running, then they won't go to Jacksonville because that's too stupid. But they have lawyers, and I know them, and they'll figure something out if they'll.
Yep. So
that's not our problem to figure out.
So if he does that, then that begs the question in my mind: can Joe Biden beat Nikki Haley?
Of course he can. But they're not. The public is just desperate for a change.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. Joe Biden's 76, 77 years old, been in politics since the 70s, and he is now the vehicle for change in the United States. I explain it, but he is. And how do you know they're going to nominate Nikki Haley anyway? I mean, if they were smart, I think they'd nominate John Thune and Liz Cheney. They won't win, but they'd probably hold a couple of Senate seats for them. Because they could easily lose 10 Senate seats right now. Yeah. I mean, this thing right now is on pace. Look, if I'm just being a Democrat, I want him to run. I don't want him to drop out.
Yeah, right, I do.
I mean, if I'm just taking my James Carville, a lifelong Democrat, all of my life has been trying to help Democrats acquire power. The worst thing can happen to being a Democrat is that he drops out.
Yep.
The country's not going to vote the Republicans back in, but they may lose 7 Senate seats as opposed to 10. Or they may lose 10 House seats as opposed to 17. They may even keep a state legislature or 2 along the way. Right now, they're heading toward near extinction. So my as a Democrat, I want him to stay in.
Right.
But this is a time in life where there's something other than being a Democrat here.
Yeah, and frankly, I think that's part of his calculation too. If he's doing one, if he indeed is what is the thing that would be most maddening to his enemies?
No, what his calculation is how is this going to affect my money-making capacity? And the truth is, you're going to make more money dropping out. And read my piece in the Bulwark. It addresses this very specifically. He doesn't think about anything but himself and his bottom line.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
And
And for the folks, for the folks that are watching, we'll drop a link to James's Bulwark
right.
piece.
It addresses it. There's nothing. You understand when you're a beaten army. That's why I watch these documentaries, Netflix, Amazon, Stalingrad, and you look at these German soldiers, and they're just beaten. They're starving. They're freezing. They're defeated. They look vacant. That's what it looked like on an election night when he gets beat worse than anybody in the history, gets beat worse than anybody in the history of American politics. And that's what happened to him.
Yeah, and we had a preview of that when he was walking from Marine One into the White House after the Tulsa rally.
Yeah.
He had that look of someone who was defeated.
Right.
He's defeated. He's beaten, and he knows it. I mean, that's the one thing that he knows. And I really think, I hope I'm wrong, but I think he won't run.
Yeah.
I actually, part of me is better if he does, because you're right. If they pick Nikki Haley or they pick John Thune or whoever they pick, they're not going to win, but they're going to hold something they didn't have before.
Yep, for sure.
So I keep thinking with Donald Trump losing or not running, he's not reelected on November 3rd. The 78 days between November 3rd and Inauguration Day, January 20th, those 78 days feel like the most dangerous days in the Trump presidency. What he will try to do, what he will do, how the Biden, president-elect has to act, how Congress would have to act to prevent Donald Trump from doing things for his own self-interest is just going to be an amazing set of days to watch his malfeasance and criminal behavior.
I would never have said this. And I would actually, I like most people, I believe in the Constitution. There would be, if he tried to start a war, there would be rank insubordination.
Yep.
Okay, they just said, "I'm not doing this." Yeah. I mean, they're right now. They're the. But what do you think all this Russia? Where do you think this is coming from?
Yeah.
So I was an enlisted person. I'm not that terribly familiar with flag officer culture, but because of who I am, I know these guys and talk to them. I bet you 83% of the active duty and retired flag officers voted for John McCain.
Yeah.
Or Mitt Romney. He won't get 17%. Right? He does not understand at all who they are. And they were, and their whole life is that they're trained to obey civilian authority.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what'll happen. I mean, now the Secretary of Defense is almost, even he's being insubordinate. He doesn't, they're just not going to do it. The intelligence agencies, they're leaking on him left and right. They're not going to do it. Yeah. Everybody knows that this guy is unstable and dishonest.
And the level of that, you think about the fact that the government level of collapse of support of at that point still will be the duly elected president. That's got its own crisis written into it, right? It's a troubling moment when the government says, well, we don't care. We're not listening to you and your executive orders. I mean, it just, I know I'm being a bit catastrophic about it, but I do worry that period of days when this caged animal is roaming around that White House trying to come up with things to make himself rich, look good, or salve his broken spirit is just, it's unthinkable what he could try to pull off, short of a war, short of military action.
It would be him and Bill Barr. I'd like to be the 7th cheeseburger at that lunch. That'll be it.
I'd like to be the 7th cheeseburger at that lunch.
They'd punch each other, man. God damn.
Now you might know this. I've only heard rumors that when the night Nixon was going to resign the next day, there was real worry about his well-being and the well-being of the country, right? There was like some concern about how this person would act. I think if you're right that Donald Trump doesn't run for election, if he loses the election, if it's clear that he's going to, the way this man could act and respond out of his just unhealth and insecurity, I just think it is it could be a really dangerous period, and I hope people are gonna rally around and put the kinds. But there's been nothing from the Republican Congress. There's been nothing from the judicial branch that says that anyone is going to act like the president is anything but in good working order and everything is as it's supposed to be. It's a little.
But the Republican Congress is useless, and they know it. The verdict of history on them is just going to be devastating. I mean, Mitch McConnell. History, well, they're not going to be bad toward him in all of them. I mean, all of them, and they know it. They know it. They just, what's that old story I read in like high school or college, the devil and Daniel Webster?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you make a deal with the devil,
yep,
you just did it. And you can't unring that bell. You just can't. Well, I don't approve of tweets. I don't like the language. I really like the fact that we blew $2 trillion on stock buybacks, or we helped set the earth on fire, and we've broken every ethics law in sense of morality. I really like the fact that we've divided the country, but I don't like the tweets. Oh, please, give me a break.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, Doug knows this. That the people that frustrate me more than anybody else are the Jeff Flakes of the world. The folks that will go out and will criticize a tweet or say, oh well, I don't really approve of this. But then when push comes to shove, their voting record is right in line with the president's agenda and what he wants. And those are the folks that just in my mind, completely lack the type of backbone you need.
I guess, he was so out there he couldn't run for re-election because actually, if you want to blame someone in this, you hate to always blame voters, but the Republican voter demanded.
Yes.
That now they're peeling off. They're starting to peel off.
Yep.
And the structures are, look, so you have these and people with very religious liberty. Oh God, I got a gay baker. Gay baker is going to bake a cake, and it's the end of days. And you can't be a Christian in America without being put upon. It's terrible. It's everything. So Trump is meeting with the Chinese premier, whatever you call him, dictator. They said, we're going to take 1 million Uyghur Muslims, a religious minority in Western China, and we have a concentration camp. And he says, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Right? We've had history of concentration camps for religious minorities. It's not very good. It's worked out very poorly. And these people put this out, and you go like, what are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Now, I understand the President of the United States is not going to start a war. He could have said, sir, the United States opposes any concentration camp, any discrimination against any religious minority. Okay? But he said, I think it's a great idea. And then you got, Robert Jeffers at the First Baptist Church in Dallas. What is wrong with this guy?
A lot. A lot.
There's old hateful W.A. Criswell.
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with these people? What the hell is, something's wrong with people like that. Really.
Well, you think what's wrong, not to complain about John Bolton, but that guy's got to go too. What happens to John Bolton, who sits in a meeting when Trump says to the president of China, I think that's a great idea about concentration camps, and doesn't spill the beans on that for a year, waits for it to come out in a book, that, and everyone's mum's the word on this thing. And this is the part that has me shaken sometimes in my trust of the government, is the level of self-preservation that is going on with these Republicans now. And I'm not, there doesn't seem to be anything inside the Democratic Party that would keep them from ultimately being in this same place again, right? I mean, what
You
keeps
know,
people from self-seeking? It's unthinkable that people would act in such selfish ways.
the tragic figure of Bolton, at least he told us. It was a year later, but at least he told
True.
us.
That's true.
I think the most tragic figure in the whole thing is Rex Tillerson. Right? I'll tell you why. He was the CEO of Exxon, lived in Dallas. You're CEO of Exxon, you're a big deal. He's at Dallas Country Club. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. He was a national board of the Boy Scouts. He was a really classic kind of Texas name. He was a very handsome guy.
Yeah.
He was a big deal. He's a pile of salt now. He's a beaten old man. I mean, he really is. And I'm sure he's not a bad person in some sense. I mean, he did what he could. He's just sitting there with his wife.
Yeah.
And history is just, he did a terrible, I don't know who talked him into it, Conde Rice and Jim Baker. But I'm sure that they had good reason. Think of these people who went in there with a reputation. And Gary Cohn, and talking about good people on both sides in Charlottesville. Can't even look at this guy anymore.
Like what? So where? How do you explain it to yourself? How do people of that level of reputation that don't need the money, that it's not like they need they're not being reelected for anything? Why did they capitulate, and why do they stay silent to this very day? Or do you think they're waiting for a big moment of reveal here?
I don't think that Rex Tillerson's waiting to write a book or anything. Or I don't, General Mallett took him forever. Finally, just couldn't take it anymore. All right. And I think they have well, maybe we can make it better. They take stuff off his desk. So you sit there, you on the phone, you try to justify it. Look, if we weren't here, it would be somebody worse. They were right. All right. They just, they got rid of anybody that had any sense of resistance. Look at Jeff Sessions. Who'd ever think like Jeff Sessions would be something of a hero in this?
Pillar of virtue.
Yeah. I think of these people, and they've just sacrificed everything.
Is that just the power of the presidency as you've been around it in your life? Like, is the presidency so powerful that it causes this, or is there something unique about Donald Trump as the president that keeps people quiet, keeps them close, and allowed them to come in? What's your
walk in the White House? I mean, it's seductive.
Okay.
The president calls you, and I don't know. I'd love to interview the people that have gone there before.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not judging you. Just let's talk about what was in your mind. Yeah. What did you do when you were talking to other people? What did they say? What was your thinking? All right. I'd love to talk to General Kelly. I'd love to talk to Reince Priebus. All right. So look, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to understand how you got here.
Mm-hmm.
But the judgment is not no one has ever written like a book to say, I got the phone call, then I got in. I knew what was going on wasn't right. But this is how I convinced myself to stay there.
Yeah,
this is how I convinced myself to be silent. This is my thought process. I would love a book like that. I'd love to interview. I'd give anything to sit down with Rex Tillerson.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So look, this guy was a moron, or whatever you call him. He's an institutional guy. He's an Exxon guy. He's the most structured institutional, corporation in the world. And I'm sure he just never thought any differently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure that he would say, look, James, this is a terrible mistake I made. This is what I was thinking. This is why I did it.
Yep.
And this is why I left. And this is why I've stayed silent. And it's the staying silent part that
they ran him off. He didn't leave on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
They ran ahead.
Yeah.
The chief of staff called him.
Yep.
They humiliated him.
He did get tweet fired, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So,
yeah,
so
he don't have
yeah.
he don't have a good ending yet.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
he did not
James,
resign principle.
yeah, James, we've got this project that we do with Vote Common Good called Hindsight 2020, where we interview Republican voters who voted for Trump in 2016, who are not going to be voting for Trump in 2020. And we call it Hindsight 2020. And what many of them have said, there's been like a number of like themes that come up over and over again. But one of those is that they thought that Trump would rise to the occasion, that the office of the presidency would be enough to elevate him. And as it turns out, it didn't, because he didn't have the moral character to be elevated. And I wonder if someone like Rex Tillerson probably thought the same way. They thought, okay, I'm going to go do this because, the presidency is big enough that he's not going to screw all of this up like this.
I understand that. That's a reasonable. I thought we needed a change. I thought people weren't doing that. Clintons have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to shake the system up. I did a guy a little different, but he'd get in there. He would be so awed by the presidency and what it meant. And he'd walk in, the residence, and he'd see the George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or Franklin Roosevelt or whatever, and he would be awed. So you made a big mistake.
Yep.
Really, really big mistake. But I'm not understand that.
Yep.
I mean, some logical kind of progression that he was he was a kind of guy that would shake things up a little bit, what a typical politician. He didn't talk like a politician, and he'd have good advisors. He had good people around him. That's the stupidest thing I ever hear in my life.
Right. That's not how it works, right?
Get smart people around. I know a lot of smart people. What's happening to a lot of smart people? They don't agree on anything.
Yeah. Right.
You have 5 smart people, you have 7 opinions. President has to have wisdom and judgment. He's got to pick one of them.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate your wisdom and judgment. I don't know why you use that wisdom and judgment to join us today, but we're glad that you did.
You do great work, Doug.
Thanks, buddy.
We tried all right, man.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it. James Carville. Well, that was good and fun, huh?
That was a blast. Yeah, I the one thing I would say is James is taking credit as being the first person to, suggest in the media that Donald Trump was going to resign rather than run, or that not resign, but would not run for reelection. I actually think we suggested that a couple of days before he went public with that, right here on this podcast.
Yes, and
No, I
many
was
times
not
on the
going
Vote
to
Common
correct
Good
James
on the Vote
Carville.
Common Good bus. Yeah, but he means of real media, of real media types,
For sure.
of guys who can't quit smirking when we are. Reviewing. Hey, all right. So, anything else we need to remind the good listeners of when it comes to why this guy has got?
Tell them about it. Adopting a state.
I will do that. Thank you. Hey, Adopt a State is I feel like I should get up and go over and grab that banner right now and hold it up here. It says Adopt a Swing State. So imagine that doesn't say Vote Common Good. That says Adopt a Swing State. 6 states we think matter most in the election of Donald Trump that we need to lock in to lock him out. Ooh, that's a winner.
Ooh.
That's a winner. We got to lock these in to lock him out. And that's Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and sunny Florida. We're going to be doing work in all those states. We ask all of you who are watching this right now, listening to this, go to votecommongood.com, click on Adopt a State, sign up for one of those states. I know I listen to a lot of podcasts, watch a lot of things online. I never go to their websites. I never click on their buttons. Be better than me. Go do that right now. This is like turn into an NPR deal. Honestly, God will send you a tote bag. We have them. We will send you one. Go click on that thing. Anybody who does it today on July 1st, we're going to send you a tote bag. I promise you. It's orange and everything. We'll send you a tote bag. It's your chance to sign up for many ways to be involved. You don't have to go to the state, but you can. You don't have to phone call someone, but you can. You don't have to text message someone who lives in one of those swing states. You got it. You can. You don't have to send a postcard to them, but you can. You have radio buttons and little check boxes on that website to sign up for the way that you want to be involved when it comes to this. So adopt a swing state. Now, if you live in one of those states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, we're coming to your state. We're coming there online. We're coming there in person. We're going to figure out how to be there in a proper socially distanced way. And we need partners on the ground. So there's another place on the website that you can sign up to host us, that you can participate with us, that you can volunteer inside your state. So we're going to bring these thousands of volunteers and their extra work, not on our bus, but, online and in the mailbox and on the phone. We're going to bring them all to bear on that state. And then we need you to rise up, and we all come together to lock these states in, to lock him out, so that finally, Attorney General Warren can lock him up. Not lock him up. I'm not calling for
it. Donald Trump won by a paper-thin margin in these states, and it will not take much to reverse that. The work needs, if Donald Trump loses Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Florida, in some combination, he cannot win re-election. So if you are like us, hey, this guy has got to go, we have the thing that you can help make that happen. It's not just something you sit